Welcome to Winning with the Burns, a podcast for highly ambitious people who have a burning desire to learn what it takes to win at a high level. Hey guys, thanks for joining us again today. You know, I got these two collegiate athletes here that I'm excited for you guys to meet and get to know. They've become, really good friends and business partners. So, Lincoln, appreciate you coming, man.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah.
I appreciate the invitation coming. It's going to be a good one.
Well, tell everybody, introduce yourself, let everybody know, where you come from and how you landed here doing this podcast with me.
Yeah, so I'm originally from LaGrange, born and raised. I've been here my whole life. I went to LaGrange Academy, graduated 2017, and then I went to LaGrange College and went there, played basketball all 4 years with Mina. Graduated in 2021, and I met you. It's a funny story. I met you, I was in class my junior year, and the professor at the time said they had someone that they wanted to, help out a young kid with some, some homework and whatnot. So I was like, let me try it out. They were saying it was going to pay some money. So that was really what I was doing it for, just to get some money. But, I took a chance and I met, Jackson, your son, and then I was able to talk to you and whatnot about what you did. And then from that, it kind of just took off because, talking about the way we're going to go as far as being the CEO of your own business, doing what you do and whatnot. And it kind of just got me to getting to know you and getting in business with you. So that's kind of how we got to know each other. But yeah.
And then, so, because you were a psychology major,
yeah.
that's what your major was going to be. What were you going to do with that psychology degree?
I really did not know. I went to college just trying to figure out what I wanted to study just by what I liked. I tried to do sociology, but it just didn't, interest me. And I wanted to learn more about human activity and human interaction. So that's when my professor for my sociology class was like, you maybe need to try psychology. So I tried that, took psychology 1101. Dr. Thomas, best professor, best teacher I've ever had, one of the best I ever had in my entire life. That's when I fell in love with psychology, and we kind of talked about different pathways I can go into. Looking at somewhat like a, medical field, psychiatry, or maybe, guidance counseling in the school system. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew I loved psychology. I took some internships and whatnot, but I just didn't find a direct path that I felt called to do psychology. I enjoyed learning it, and I actually used some of the stuff that I learned there in my profession now. But I just love learning about human interactions and how people, interact. And I think that kind of has a big impact on how I live today. So, yeah.
Well, you were a big impact at LaGrange College too, because you started there, your basketball, you finished out your career, as a collegiate athlete, but you also was Mr. LaGrange College? Is that right? Homecoming, or
yeah,
am I messing that up? Or is it the King?
It's I won homecoming. That's what it was. Also was part of different organizations. I was part of the Black Male Initiative, Black Student Union, Student Government President. I was the president of my class for my junior and senior year.
All conference.
Well,
all conference.
That's about basketball. Basketball, all conference. Basketball. I was a captain on the basketball team for 3 years, from sophomore to senior year. So I was a part of a lot of leadership roles. Just being a part of different organizations and being diverse in what I do. I think that kind of had a good impact to where I am now. But I enjoyed my years at LaGrange College. It's not the typical college that you see on TV, and movies and whatnot, but I think it had a good impact on, building who I am today. So I really appreciate that.
Well, it gave you a lot of opportunities to grow as a young man with 100%. Leadership, learning a lot of things, because I'm a big firm believer in our business that athletes do very well because they're used to being disciplined, they're used to having structure, and they're used to having that self-accountability.
Oh, 100%. And, our basketball years, it was really good, as far as mental toughness, building us. It wasn't, everything wasn't all high. We had some lows and whatnot, but learning mental toughness and getting into the grind of being a collegiate athlete, I think that kind of had a big impact on how well I'm doing now in the business, because I had to go through, the tough times, with other team members, with the team, with scenarios we had to go through during game, practice, film, and the consistent of, going to practice and whatnot, and, just going through the reps of, different things. That kind of had a good impact on how I, translate that to business now. So,
yeah. Well, then you introduced me to Mina, welcome, man.
How we doing?
Oh,
I just heard your whole. I didn't know that's how y'all met. You were
Oh yeah.
his son's tutor.
So yeah, basically what happened was we was in class one day, and the professor at the time, Christy Thurman, amazing professor.
She's awesome, by the way.
Awesome. She came into class one day and she was like, "Oh, I know someone who has a son that needs tutoring."
Yep.
The first day she asked, I was like, "No, I don't like kids. I'm not about to do it. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it." I mean, I'm not saying I'm not going to do it, but it's like I'm not thinking about that. I don't like kids. But she came in like 2 more days. And then she was like, they still looking out for, someone to help out with his son. And then my friend, Mason Brown, he was sitting beside me and he was like, "You should do it," just playing around. And I was like, let me just go over there and see what it's about.
Yeah.
And then that just kind of happened. I met Jackson probably the next week. And then, from that, I kind of just helped him out. And that's how I met him and Nick. And when I was going to the office, because I went to the office to tutor him. So that's why I was able to see him, his family, what he did for work and whatnot. And I knew at that time, because that's the time you actually gave me that Millionaire Success Habits book. I knew at that time, because I was going through some stuff as far as finding out what I want to do in a career. I knew I did not want to be in the psychology field professional-wise. I knew I wanted to kind of, be a CEO or whatnot. And then that's kind of how I kind of connect with him a little bit more. And then I got into
he came in to tutor Jackson, but he didn't realize I was going to tutor him.
Yeah.
Because I handed him a book. It was called Secret to the Millionaire Mind.
That's what it is.
It's a great book, but it has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with your thought process and action and all that. And he gravitated towards that book. But yeah, I didn't know you didn't know that.
I didn't know how y'all met, honestly.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It's crazy.
It's very crazy.
I just thought because LaGrange is small.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good, because that just goes down to show you is every opportunity you have when you meet somebody is, you form a relationship with them. Like, not that you want to get in business with them, not that you want something from them, but it's just building your relationships. I say it all the time. Your net worth will never be larger than your network. So create friendships, and, it started out as a friendship and now it's turned out to, business working relationship. So
And the funny thing about that, during that time, because I had read Rich Dad, Poor Dad before I met you, and Cash Flow Quadrant, which you always talk about that book. I don't know if you want to talk about it today, but I read those books before I met you. And at the time I was like, I wish I can find someone that can probably, help me out to where I want to go. Kind of not formulate, but kind of help me get my thoughts together where I want to do, or help me just get to a different level. Because at the time I didn't know any CEOs, in college. I didn't know anybody that was successful where I wanted to be, or had like a glimpse of what I wanted, as far as the future wise. And then I was able to meet him. I was like, okay, this is kind of where, it's working. And then from that, it kind of just built on each other. So it was amazing.
And see, if he never would have took that tutoring job, I wouldn't even met you.
Amen.
So thanks for tutoring. Who was it? Jackson?
Jackson. Yeah,
thanks for tutoring Jackson.
I still help him out sometimes when he asks for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When he wants to go to Chick-fil-A.
When he wants to go to Chick-fil-A, I still.
Yeah.
Now, Mina, you grew up in Florida, right?
Mm-hmm. So how far you want me to go back? Like high school?
Yeah, so you grew up in Florida, played basketball, and what made you want to come to LaGrange College?
It was basketball, so I transferred in from another school. I lived in Boston for about 3 years, played out there, had a short stint in Dallas, huge mess. I don't think we're going to get into that. And then I came over to LaGrange, got recruited, come over here and play basketball as well. That's how I met Lincoln. I came the COVID year, so that near March when they shut the school down, and then that next coming year where we had to wear masks and that whole ordeal, that's the year I came. And when I met Lincoln, I think that was your senior year. Yeah, and that's how I met Lincoln. And from there, I finished last year. I finished my first bachelor's in business management with a minor in entrepreneurship and marketing, which I don't know why you didn't do that. You should have a business management degree.
I took some business classes. I had a minor in business. So I knew, like, when I met you, everything happened kind of at the same time. I met you my junior year. I talked to my professor about, like, what I want to do future-wise. Because junior year is like the time where, okay, we cracking down what you want to do. You trying to finalize, trying to do internships. You trying to figure out what you want to do. So at that time, I had met you. I was trying to figure out what I want to do. I knew I wanted to get into business, but also use my psychology degree. So I was trying to, figure that out. That's why I took the business minor. So I was taking some business classes. Some of the classes you took, I did take. But I was already almost done with my psychology degree. So like my senior year was mostly business classes.
You would have loved it.
I know, yeah. I love the business classes I took, but
we
you know,
took
I was
entrepreneurship classes, marketing classes. Like, it's very like a broad degree, so it was a lot of fun. I graduated with that last May, and then this upcoming May, I'm finishing my second bachelor's in sports management with a minor in coaching. And I started here in January, I want to say. Came on board with you guys. Part-time, full-time, like in between.
Yeah.
'Cause I have a lot of classes online. So I think when I first met you was at Fat Daddy's. I didn't really meet you. I was having lunch there, and you're like, hey, Lincoln's doing really well. Talking to somebody I was having lunch with. And that's the first time I saw you. I never really like formally met you at that time. And then when I seen you, we had that meeting, me and Shard and Lincoln in the room, the business room. I was okay. He looks familiar. I know exactly where he's from. So,
Yeah. And so when we met, that was like a seed. It was an opportunity to introduce myself. Not that I ever knew we were going to do business, but it was an opportunity to find something you would relate to. And it was like, hey, I know you know Lincoln because you ball with Lincoln.
yeah.
And so you came in the business, you got your license because you're still finishing out your other degree. And so you came in on a part-time basis, coming up to the office, shadowing Lincoln, seeing how, what we do and how we help some families.
Yeah.
And, recently we had a meeting up in Atlanta where one of the owners came down with Equus, and you were sitting in the meeting, and on the way home, you called me up and you're like, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
I can see how I can build a business. It's not about selling insurance. It's about creating a business. And man, you've taken off with it.
Yeah. Like I said, there's more, because I wouldn't want to say I was confined. I knew there was other lanes you could get into, but once the owner of the company started breaking it down and talking about you could do so much more with this, it's just about, like you said, building relationships. I talked to a guy after that meeting, built a relationship with him on how he does marketing and things of that nature. So it's really just about going however hard you want to work. That's the whole business, and being able to outsource yourself and talk to other people.
So what is the biggest thing that attracted you? And it wasn't selling insurance by no means. I don't think anybody ever grows up and says, I want to sell insurance, when I grow up. But, that is the vehicle that we use. That is, the business that we use. But what attracted you to our business model?
So to start out, I forced Lincoln to make me let me have a meeting with you. He wouldn't, like, the way he's talking to people and introducing this to other people. He was not doing that until I came in there. And I was like, Lincoln, what are you doing? Like, you have a skill set. Why not share it and bring other people? Like, why are you confined into one? Like, I know you're focused on yourself, but at the same time, you can bring other people and create like a path where people will follow you. So I was like, Lincoln, because I'm like, Lincoln makes this amount, he makes a good amount, and we went to, I think, Wild Leap, and I'm like, Lincoln, get me a job. Like, I want a job. Like, what are you doing? Wow, what do you do? He never told anybody what he does. I'll see him on Snapchat traveling to Cali, like everywhere, and I'm like, what do you do? Like, why can't I be a part of that? So that's how it really started. And then I forgot. What was your question? I really forgot.
No, what you almost answered it, because I said, what attracted you to get into business? Because when you're talking about, when you asked him, what do you do? That's how our career was built on. People would see a lifestyle. And it wasn't the fancy things in life. It was, you saw him being able to go to the gym when he wanted to go to gym.
Yeah,
he wasn't
exactly.
clocking in. He was going to Cali. He was going to Florida. He was going to Nashville. Like, he's going all these different places, and he had a lifestyle that you were attracted to. They were like, hey, give me a job.
Because I'm like, if he could do it, I could do it. And I'm like, is this something with psychology? Because I knew he was a psychology major. I never knew he had anything to do with business. Like, he was interested in that. But like I said, what attracted me, it was that. I'm like, I want to do, like, what are you doing? And once we had the meeting where it's like, you don't have to clock in. It's not a base salary. Like, you don't have to report to anybody. Like, kind of however hard you work is how successful you will be. And that goes back to how you said athletes do well in this. So I've been dealing with that my whole life. Like, if I want to be great at basketball, you got to put the work in. So I'm like, that can translate into this business, and it does. So I'm like, I can just keep that same mindset, but I'm just switching careers or activities type deal. So it was easy for me to really transition into this.
So you learn how to be attracted to the lifestyle, but then you also said, like I was talking about athletes doing well, is because athletes are used to performing well, and you get rewarded for your performance, whether it's playing time, whether it's the accolades, it's your name in the paper, you know, and all that stuff. But especially the higher achiever athletes, they want to get paid professionally. And so what happens is there's a small window of those people that get to go professionally, right? And so what happens is you get all these great athletes that they're used to competing every day. They wake up every day with a purpose. They wake up every day with a drive. And all of a sudden they get sucked into the 9-to-5 job to where they have someone who's got a position better than them that tells them, has their thumb on them, says, you can only do this, don't do this. And from an athlete's perspective, you're like, man, I used to be a competitor, and you're competing against this game called life, and it can beat you down. And I think that's why people are attracted to you guys, is because you guys are living a lifestyle that people want to be a part of. To your point, hey man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? So having flexibility to want to go work when you want to go work, being able to literally make as much money or as little money as you want to make, because everybody's got a certain amount that they want to make in order to live, right? But you guys are, you know, setting the pace. And Lincoln, you lead from the front with your team. I mean, you perform every week, week in, week out, by helping families. It's like you're showing them the path.
Yeah, I think, you know, what you was talking about, being an athlete, well, you too, both being an athlete, practicing off season, on season, then translating that to business. That's exactly what I did. I mean, my mindset, like when I finished playing basketball for college, I mean, we was working out, practice every single day. You know, every single day we practice for like 2-3 hours, you know, then the game comes. So I just translated that from working out, because I still lift, you know, I still do cardio, I still work out. You know, I don't play basketball as much, but I still do the same, you know, systematic working out each day. So I kind of just translated that into business. You're not going to, you know, do well in the business if you don't practice. And practicing is doing the reps in every single day, you know, doing what you got to do. So I think that kind of just translated to me and into my business, of how I'm able to kind of grow each, you know, week, each day, and, you know, in my business and my personal production. So, yeah.
Well, you know, I think Mark Cuban said it best, is he said athletes have it made, like professional athletes, because they have a season and then they're off. So they have time to work on their craft. They have time to get in shape. They have time to think about, all right, what failed this season that I need to improve on? But as you have found in business, you got to wake up every day and go to work. You got to wake up every day and says, I'm not going to be outworked. I got to wake up every day and says, you know what? I have to create my life. Life doesn't happen to me, but I have to go create my life. So being in business is tough. I mean, it's a mental grind.
I was just about to say that. It's really hard, like, especially for an athlete, for somebody to work on your craft and see improvement. It's like, okay, if I get better at this, I'm going to get more playing time. That's my reward. So, like, after your career, it's hard to find a job like this to where it translates. Because if you're doing the same, like I've been working on my craft my whole life. So for me, I did a summer job. It was like 9 to 5. So when I did that summer, I hated it. When I did a summer job, because it's like I'm confined into where I can't get better. I always want to improve. So the transition from being an athlete to this is like, it was really well because of that matter, because my whole life I'm working on something to where I could see myself getting better and see the rewards, instead of being at 9 to 5 and you're just going to be getting paid $8 an hour for 12 years, no matter how hard you work or how good you do at your job. So that's like another thing, probably another conversation, like athletes transitioning into, like, a lot of them want to be entrepreneurs and like doing their own thing. That's like a whole nother conversation.
Because after you cross that stage at college, that's when the real work hit. You know, a lot of people think, we was talking about this the other day, a lot of people think once you finish high school and you go to college, that's when the real world starts. No, it doesn't. It doesn't start until after college, for real. Because in college, you still have that safety net. You can still do what you want to do. I mean, people go throughout the whole years of college, and I even made TikTok videos about it, using Quizlet on tests to pass the test, but you're paying to go to college. You know, that dichotomy is just still kind of confusing to me. You know, you're paying to go to school, but you also cheating on the test. just to graduate? What are you
I
doing
don't,
there
I
at the
don't
time?
think it's about books.
It is not. It's
I
not.
think college is about building connections, like how I build a connection with you.
That's smart people.
To where that's how. So I figured it out like junior, sophomore year, because my first school was a business school. So I'm like, okay, if I build a connection with this professor, okay, he'll let me retake this test, like type deal.
I agree.
So I'm like, if I'm building relationships with people that I know, like coaches, players, professors, like they'll do more for you if they know who you are. So like, if I never built a relationship with you, I wouldn't be here.
People miss that though. I mean, people miss and they think, because when I was coming up, it was go to school, get education, get a job. You're not going to get anywhere in life unless you got a piece of paper. But you said it best, is about building connections, learning a skill set that you take into the real world. Because, used to, if you had a piece of paper, like that was attractive. Everybody wanted to hire you because they said that you could learn. You were disciplined enough to go to school to get a piece of paper. And unfortunately, that piece of paper limits people's income because it says you're only worth X amount of dollars based on what that piece of paper tells you. But building a skill set, learning how to connect with people, building relationships, like that's a soft skill set that people miss, but you got it. And that's the thing. I think that people going to college, and keep in mind now, I'm not bashing college because you guys are college kids,
either.
right?
I could. I can't. I could bash
I graduated, so I can talk about it. I
think within 20, 30 years, a lot of kids our age are starting to become entrepreneurs. And when they get out of high school at 18, they're starting to say no to college. Like I said, I think it's just a big connection group. So like,
yeah,
I agree.
Well, you can build relationships, but I'm a big proponent if you're going to go to college and specialize in something.
Exactly.
Like you're going to be a teacher,
like a tech
or a tech school. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a lawyer. You're going to be a teacher. You're going to be a nurse. Like you're going to specialize in a field that requires that training.
Exactly.
I get that, but to go to college now, just to say I went to college just to get a degree, I think you're better off taking some money and investing in a business, being an entrepreneur, and betting on yourself and not betting on some system that's been broken for years.
Yeah, but still, like, mind you, like, you're going to get that piece of paper. Say we had the same degree. You'll get that piece of paper just so you both qualify. I bet you like 8 times out of 10, because me and Lincoln are close, I'm going to hit up Lincoln like, Lincoln, what do you do? Like, I see you got qualified because of that degree. It's the people that you know that will get you into that entryway. Like you said, a nurse, like, oh, I know the boss, I'll talk to him.
That's right.
So it's pretty much the same thing. It's just, that's why I just thought college is all about connections.
Just connections.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Lincoln, you've been, you kind of started part-time a little bit in 21. And then in 22, halfway through the year, you're like, you know what? I need to take this serious. Like, I need to look at this as a career, not just making some money here and there. So you hit a spark. I think it was like July, second half of last year. In July. You were like, I'm all in now. Like this, I'm planting my flag to create a career. Because I think you got all that traveling out of the way at the beginning part of the year.
Yeah, I still went to travel for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
but
you did.
most of the year I'm not gonna say I was playing around. I just wasn't, this is not like what I'm doing like every single day. I wanted to just, go out, because I kind of talked to you about it. In college, like I played basketball my whole life, and you can agree with this. I mean, basketball is no season off. You got, especially when you're in school, you got an off season. This is like middle school through college. You have an off season, which you're working out. You got a preseason. Then you got season. You got postseason when you're working out. Then you got off season. So it's like an ongoing cycle. Yeah. And from middle school to high school, you have AAU as well. So you're playing basketball from April all the way until like
the whole August, year, every month.
And then you go back to your school and then you play again. So I really never had the time to travel. Like my family, they would go some places sometimes. But I never got the chance to travel like I wanted to. But once I started working, I did have the time, and I also had the funds in order to do that.
Yeah, so the resources. Yeah,
the resources. So I was like, let me just, let me give myself a little bit of leeway to travel, because in college, my only thing was like head in books and also head in basketball. That was the only thing I really focused on. But I really didn't start going head. Diving into it full time, like really, really hard, because I still did full time, but I wasn't like, okay, I'm taking this serious until like end of July, August. So yeah, that kind of just changed for me, because I could just see where the business was going and what I could do. So I wanted to just see what my potential was and really just, go for it.
So what do you do now, Lincoln, as far as getting prepared for the day? When it was basketball season, you had a routine. You know, your routine was whether it was lifting weights, shooting so many free throws, you know, working on a skill set. So in the business world now, what is, number one, how important is a routine to you? And then number two, what does your routine look like? Like, how do you mentally get prepared for the day?
Yeah, so I mean, I try to treat it like I'm still, well, I can't say still. I'm trying to treat it like I work a job, because, you know, you have to be consistent with your schedule. You have to always know what you got going on, because if you be consistent, that kind of alleviates all other factors that can, you know, hinder, you know, your growth or whatever. So I kind of just, you know, wake up in the morning, I work out, get my mind right, go to the gym, probably for like an hour 15, go home, get ready for the day, come to the office, get on our coaching call, which is very helpful. And then from that, I set up my day for around like 2 or 3 hours, then take a little break and go back home, get some food, come back to the office, just relax. And then from like 3:30 to 8, it's all go time, you know, helping families, doing what I need to do. If it's pending work with, you know, any policies, do that. But really just go hard for, you know, from 3:30 to 8. When it's really not going hard because you're only speaking with people for like 20 minutes. But really just, you know, giving that time a window to just really help our families. And then after that, just go home. Do that 4 days a week, you know, Monday through Thursdays. If I want to work Fridays, I'll do that as well. But just getting my, you know, consistent schedule of working out, you know, going on a call, setting up my day, and then doing the appointments. That's really what I focus on, really.
Well, you said the magic word, consistent. And, you know, time is on your side when you're consistent. Time is against you when you're not consistent. You know, being consistent in your action. You know, we get so caught up in the scoreboard that we forget there's a game. You know, we get so caught up as, well, today I stunk. Today I didn't get it done. Well, you got to flush it. You got to go on to the next, because the game of life, I mean, it's a career path. It's not, to your point, if you treat it like a job, you get job results. Treat it like a career and build a business and being an entrepreneur, then you get those types of results.
100%. Yeah. So, you know, I won't sound like you like a job like I'm, you know, upset with it, but just having a consistent schedule where you have to do this at this time.
You're disciplined.
In your routine. You have to do this at this time. I got to do this to get this, you know. In order to do this, I have to do this. So, you know, that's kind of where my mindset is really having to focus on my time management and just having a schedule that I know I can stick with, you know, to do what I got to do.
Well, meaning you're getting ready to come full time. After you graduate, it's all hands on deck. You're ready to roll full time. So you've been able to kind of dip your toe in the water, make a little money, build some relationships, and start building your business. So what's your mindset coming in, you know, when you walk across that stage again? I don't know if you're going to walk again, but you're getting that degree.
I don't think I am. I don't really.
Hey, you should, man. You
should walk.
You put that work in, you should be recognized for it.
It feels like at night, 100%, but it's 8 in the morning, sun blazing, just to hear my name get called to walk across the stage. I got the pictures from last year where I took it with the president at LaGrange, just for have a blurry picture. Like, I'll just take the piece of paper.
I would say that's a once in a lifetime opportunity, but you done did it once, so you can do it again.
So I'm like, I just like going, I'd rather go low key about my business. So I don't know, I'm still thinking about it. Like I said, no family coming, but I don't know. I really forgot your question again. I'm so sorry. I tried to think of it. I'm so sorry.
Hey, look, see, he's getting groomed. He's learning. He's learning.
It's okay.
He's learning. Hey, look, we're getting ready to transition you out of school mind into business mind, right?
I got
being
you.
1099 and working, you know, being your own CEO.
Yeah.
You know, so I said, what going into, you know, being full time, because you've been part time. You've been at the office and, you know, making a little extra money here and there, but you're getting ready to double down and go full time when you graduate.
Yeah.
You know, what's your mindset and some of your goals going into the summer?
I think the mindset stays the same. Me and Lincoln have talked about this as well a lot. I have goals to hit as far as writing a certain amount of business, rescaling my business to where I can up how much, you know, the leads and all that type deal, my business, to get it moving faster and making more type deal. But like, I've always had the business mindset growing up. My dad, he never worked for anybody. So he was always the same 1099. He owned a bunch of different businesses in Florida. And before I started playing basketball, that's how I kind of developed the mindset. I want to say that's how the seed was planted.
Yeah.
So he was always like, my parents both, they were always like, don't ever work for nobody. Like, do your own thing, create your own thing. Like even with this model, like we are both our own business, like me and Lincoln. So I think that's why I really like the model. But like my goals is just to keep growing, keep building good people around me to where I can have conversations like this, and they really filter themselves out. Like for example, last night that meeting we had.
Yeah.
So just to keep growing, keep building my business, do other things like to build me mentally, like reading books and getting to different avenues or different businesses down the line. So
I love that you said talk about scaling the business because growth is not an option in business. Growth is a must. If you're not growing, the old saying is if you're not growing, then you're coasting. And how do you coast? You're going downhill. So you're always having to grow because growth is not an option in business. But you talked about scaling the business and in running a race with like-minded people. How important, Lincoln, is it having, like what we used to always say, having a wingman, having somebody that you can lean on? How important is that to where if Mina's down, you pick him up? If you're down, Mina picks you up. How important is that?
It's very important. I mean, you're going to always have, in business, you're going to need someone to not vent to, but kind of, banter with. Because relate with, banter with, because not everything going to go your way. Because having, always having someone that you can talk to, I think that's amazing to have, but it also keeps you accountable to, if he's having a bad day, well, I've had a bad day before, so I know how to pick him up. If I'm having a bad day, he knows what it's like. So it's kind of like this back and forth that, you all have, that we both have, but it just kind of makes you mostly accountable to your business, but makes you want to, show each other that, this business is important to each other and kind of keep going forward. So that's one thing I will say that has helped me, because some days I may not feel like coming in, but I know Mina's going to be there. So it's like, you know what, I'm going to go in because he's going to be there. I know, he's going to be waiting for me to get there. So I'm going to go there as well.
Well, especially when you hire people, their eyes are on you.
Yeah, 100%.
You set the pace as a leader. We talk about leadership is providing a path for people, but mentorship is actually walking that path. So when people have their eyes on you, you got to walk that path with them. You got to show them this is how you get past, because I went through that hurdle. Here's how I overcame that hurdle. I went through this obstacle. Here's how I overcame this. So being able to point people in that direction to where they don't make the same mistakes that you have made. Because, business is ugly, right? But people don't see that. People see people that have these businesses and they see these billboards.
Like
they got it made.
Yeah, social media.
They got lucky, right? They had it easy.
Trust fund, baby, yeah.
But they don't see the struggle because, every day it's a struggle mentally when you wake up, right? But to me, the results, they outweigh the struggles, right?
Even yesterday, I had a bad day, and Lincoln can tell you. I'm like, Lincoln, I don't know what is going on. I don't know if it's the weather or what, but I can't set no appointments. I had zeros across the board, and I'm like, what is it? So I kind of just, and I related it to basketball because you're going to have bad games. So I'm like, okay, what is it? Like, is it just the day? It's just nothing's falling, like the shot's not going in, like basketball terms, like, and people just aren't picking up. And it's like, what? I can't do nothing about that. So I kind of just got to go with the flow, stay level-headed even when I'm high or low, and take the punches and roll with the punches. So I'm like, I don't know what it is. Should I go work out again? Like, and I'm calling Lincoln, and he's like, look, it's going to happen. It's supposed to happen. Like, the position I'm in right now, even you're supposed to grow. You're supposed to build that tough skin. So I'm like, yeah. So having somebody that you can talk to, like you and Nick as well, where you can just talk about more than just our business, just everything. Like, we talk about everything. It's something I preach on even our meetings. The environment that we have is a really good environment because you're with like-minded people, and there's nobody in the business that I don't like at all. So,
well, you control what you can control, and related to sports. People. How many times have you seen on the court? People get so wrapped up with what the ref is calling, what he's not calling, and then you can't even perform. You know what I'm saying?
That firsthand.
But you can't even perform because you're so emotionally invested into what this guy's doing and what he's not doing, right? Same thing on baseball field, football field, whatever. But in business, you control what you can control. Keep your emotions even keel. Things are never as bad as you think they are. They're never as good as you think they are. Stay even keel and stay in the business long term.
And that's what I really like, because once you get to that point, because after being in the business for a year, seeing days, that's how I was able to talk to him. I just had days like that, terrible days, where I either had a bunch of appointments and, wasn't able to help nobody out, or didn't have no appointments. I've had it all. So that kind of just builds character too, because it's something else on the other side. Just got to keep on going. So you just keep on going, learning that and being consistent and being confident in what you know and going through the punches. I think that has helped me tremendous. And, just trying to teach him that, and also help him get to where I'm at, and helping me get to where you're at, just trying to keep on growing. And that's an amazing feature that I really
Regardless, though, I think business and tell me if I'm wrong. I've seen this from you, Nick, Connor Jones, you as well, and I learned it from basketball. There shouldn't be feelings involved with business. So once you got to the college level, it's business, because that coach has to keep their job, so they need good players to win games. So that's why I don't try to put your feelings into your business, because those two don't mix. This is
so
working.
true, man.
At all.
So
So true. Feelings and emotions in business don't mix. At the end of the day, it's a business decision. Like, I love you, right? But I'm not going to let you get in your feelings. I'm not going to get emotionally attached. See, we've made those mistakes over the years, getting so emotionally attached to where you couldn't make a clear decision in business. So being able to separate the emotions, like, I don't get emotionally attached to a client. I don't get emotionally attached to agents, because, things happen, life happens, people come and go, but you run across good people, then that's what keeps you going. That's why you constantly have to grow. So Mina, right now, if somebody's listening to you right now and they're like, man, I don't know if I could do this. Who were you looking for to put in your business? Like, if somebody says that I fit that profile, who is somebody that you want to be in business with?
I want somebody that's like-minded, consistent, hardworking, open-minded, and just overall a good person. So somebody that has morals, values, like ethical, like actually stands on something, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't hire or bring people on depending on how good they can do the business, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's more on who they are, the personality, like the kind of person they are. Like, if I know this person's not a good person or wishy-washy, it's like, I don't want to do business with that person. So if it's like a good person like you, Lincoln, Nick, like those type of people you could talk to, you could call, you guys will answer the phone. Like, I can trust them. I could, in simple terms, if I had a kid, I could bring my kid to you guys' house and be perfectly fine. Like,
Exactly.
He's fine.
Somebody you want to have dinner with over at your house.
Exactly. So
Lincoln, to piggyback on that, in your business, who are you looking for? Like, somebody says, hey, I fit that profile. I think I've been always wanting to start a business, but every time I looked at a business, it took a lot of capital. I don't have the money. I don't have the background, but I want to start a business. Who were you looking for?
Somewhat on the same lines, but I want to say main thing, know what you want. Because Mina knew what he wanted when he came to me, when he wanted to have that meeting. So knowing what you want, and having, some type of mindset of you want to have some type of control of your life, and you don't blame everybody else for where you are. Because at the end of the day, you get to choose where you want to go in life, whether you want to agree with it or not. Your choices leads to where you are today. So I just want someone who knows what they want and wants to control their outcome of their life. Those two main things I really would love, as far as individuals, and they would actually do well in this business as well.
So someone who's going to take ownership of themselves.
Ownership.
That's one of our core values.
Every single day, accept responsibility.
Yep.
I would every single day. You have to accept every single day that you live, because you get to choose all the choices you decide every single day. So someone who wants to control their life, but also accepts what they want to become, basically, or know what they want to become.
I love it. You can already see the growth in everybody being in the business, just being around like-minded people. So, man, I appreciate you guys taking the time. I know you got to get going. I know you got some appointments y'all got to run to, but I appreciate you guys taking the time to sit down with me, because I think people need to hear from young people. I've been in the business, going on 19 years now, and people see this gray in me. It's wisdom. I keep, y'all joke with me. It's wisdom and all that. But, hearing young guys that are winning early in our business, I think is really good to hear. I'm going to let you go real quick, because I'm going to cut up with you two. Who's going to win one-on-one basketball right now?
Me.
I got to say me. Of course me. The competitive in me is me.
That's
That's
it.
good. Good confidence.
That's
It's
that's
not.
why
Hey,
we're
it's
both in the
confidence.
business. Yeah.
Confidence is knowing you can deliver, right?
Exactly.
It's not arrogance.
You're right.
I'm not gonna curse on here, but I will win.
That's
Hey,
not
look.
happening.
Well, look, maybe we'll do that
Part 2.
when we go on a trip.
Yeah.
We're gonna find a court,
I'm down.
and we're gonna find out who's gonna win, and then we'll come back and we'll let everybody know who won.
I'm down with that.
I'm down with that.
Hey, well, look up these two guys. How can they find you on Instagram?
My Instagram is Lincoln Anderson Jr. That's my Instagram.
Mina?
Mine is Mina_the_Egyptian. That's my Instagram. I'd rather you reach out and use LinkedIn. Use our LinkedIn, Mina Yakub. Same with yours. Tell them to use your LinkedIn because that's where business is at. And I think social media, I'm on TikTok. It's not too big yet, but I like to use LinkedIn a lot. So
Awesome. Well, look forward to having you guys again.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much. Appreciate you.